Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon, beginning at 2 p.m. or anytime you'd like to see us on any of the social media sites, facebook.com/DFeazell. You can also find our podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending emails. Definitely appreciate that. Lets me know you're out there and you're listening and you have questions, and that's really, really good. We are talking to Don Brown, a good friend of mine from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's an attorney, an author, and a speaker, and he's also a candidate for U.S. Senate. Great to have you back on the show, Don.
Good to be back, Donna. Thanks for having me. Hope all is well.
All is well. Just wanted to say I appreciate what you stand for. Definitely.
Back at you, my friend. Right back at you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it takes. And there's a lot more of us out there than we realize. Sometimes we think we're in this little hole somewhere and we're the only ones, but we're not. They're out there. They're just a little silent. Why do you think people are so silent?
You know, but that's a good point. Not only silent, but not active. I was with my friend Bob Dunn, the chair of the Union County Republican Party, and he was looking at some studies by Barna, George Barna, and concluding that like 30 million Christians are not even either not registered to vote or don't go vote. 30 million. And if you think about that, we are not in the minority at all. Our philosophy is the majority is just getting folks engaged to understand that every vote counts and every voice counts. So I think people, to answer your question, people, let themselves believe that their vote doesn't matter, their voice doesn't matter, and nothing can be further from the truth. I mean, I point people to what happened in Bush versus Gore in Florida in 2000 when you have just a small number of hanging chads deciding the race. Here in North Carolina, we just went through a very bitter Supreme Court race involving Jefferson Griffin, who apparently lost the election because of illegal votes from overseas and unregistered votes. But every small amount counts. In fact, my friend Robert Burns, who is the Republican mayor of Monroe, North Carolina, great guy, was actually there was a tie in that election, and they did a coin flip on who would serve as mayor for this past term. I think Robert's going to win very easily without a coin flip next time. But every vote matters, and I think it's just a delusional belief among folks that they don't count when everybody counts. And I'm hoping you and I can help to start change that some. We just take one voter at a time, one Christian at a time, and we're moving in the right direction, Donna. And here in North Carolina, we're going to have, there was almost 500,000, well, there's 300,000, I'm trying to remember the numbers, in 2016. The Democrats are way over the Republicans in terms of registration. By the end of this year, Republican registration in North Carolina will eclipse Democrat registration. It's almost a tie right now. But people matter, and so we got to continue to get the word out. And the more we do, the more it's going to help, I think.
Well, I have to tell you this: a friend of mine who's actually a liberal wound up running a race several years ago, and she lost by 2 votes, I believe it was. And she found out 3 of her kids did not vote.
Yeah, right. There you go.
I said, I can't believe they were dumb enough to tell you they didn't vote. I mean, I would have kept that a big secret right there, especially if you only lost by 3. But really, every single vote does absolutely count.
It does. Sometimes these races are very close. The vote counts. The voice counts. It all counts. The Constitution begins with the words, we the people. And if we the people don't participate, then it's going to be they the government that controls our lives. We can't let they the government control their lives. It must be we the people. So we got to walk it and talk it, and we have to do it for the sake of those who've gone before us and have sacrificed so much to give us the opportunity to participate in the process. And when you participate, make sure you get educated. I mean, I don't want some dingbat going to the polls that think socialism is the right way to go, but educate yourself and then go to the polls and vote for the candidate who is most, attuned to the U.S. Constitution, to the Word of God, and to opening opportunities for freedom by getting the government off the backs of the people, as President Reagan used to say.
Well, I've been following your journey on Facebook, and I see all of I mean, you are getting some fantastic interviews there. How are you getting those? You're getting a lot of attention.
Well, of course, I'm with my favorite interviewer at the moment, but you're correct. I've gotten some. We've had a number of, especially the last couple of weeks. It's just been a slew, and it really kind of started as soon as Tilla stepped out of the race. I guess, I mean, I've not had some media experience anyway in the past, but we've gotten a lot of interviews. As a matter of fact, tonight I'm going to be on the Stinchfield show on Real America's Voice at 7:30. We were on John Solomon's show. John had to step out, but Amanda Head did the interview there earlier in the week, and so we've got them lined up. And I can't really understand it, but I guess people and the media, conservative media especially, and conservatives are hungry for voices to step forward. And we understand, for example, with the midterms coming up and with the Senate race here in North Carolina, that we're now looking. We're 6 months into the second Trump administration, but we're now looking beyond 2018 and 2019 when the next administration steps in. Of course, whoever is the new U.S. Senator from North Carolina will serve 2 years under President Trump and 4 years under hopefully a President J.D. Vance. And so it is up to us. We've been spared. This nation has been spared what I think was going to be an irreparable fall into tyranny had Kamala somehow stolen the election like her boss did 4 years earlier. We couldn't have survived that. And so we've been given a very strong leader in the Oval Office who, by executive decree and by the bully pulpit and by his ability to, cajole and to influence members of Congress, has gotten off to a superstar start. But we have to pick up the responsibility on our shoulders and be prepared to carry that into the future. And so I think people are interested in that. And I think that's one of the reasons we've been blessed with quite a bit of media in the last couple of weeks. And hopefully they'll keep on coming because we are trying to get that message out.
Well, you're doing the right thing, and it does attract. It really does. But a lot of things that are happening in this country are just a little bit unreal. I know that, some folks have moved out of the country.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Okay, I know I'm no Miss Universe, but what I was going to do is I was going to dress up like one of these hags that have left. I just couldn't do it. It's just like,
you couldn't do that if you tried. You'd never be able to do it.
I kind of miss making fun of Kamala, and so I'm looking for somebody to make fun of. If you'll just kind of fill me, who do you think needs to be next? Who do I need to make fun of?
Well, it used to be Fetterman, but Fetterman is the only Democrat that's making any sense these days, so he's off the table. AOL is always low-hanging fruit. This Mondavi guy, this idiot guy up in New York, is going to be plenty of stuff to go after him for. But I mean, you look, Tim Walz is still out there. It does look like Kamala is going to want to try to either run for governor or run for president. So there'll be plenty of opportunities to have a bit of fun at her expense. The more she talks, the more stuff we got to use. Gavin Newsom is out there. Whoever he uses to slick his hair back, I need to buy some stock in that company. And I'm going to finance this campaign without any issues. But there's a lot of low hanging fruit out there in the Democrat Party. Bernie Sanders is still there. The thing about it is there's so many doofuses over there. It's kind of hard to choose, to tell you the truth.
I know. See, that's just it. I just have to throw a dart. I'll put the pictures out there, and I'll just blindfold myself, throw a dart, and see what I come up with.
Well, they don't seem to learn their lessons, and they seem to dig down even deeper into the woke. You only have a few of them that realize the problem they've got. Carville realizes the problem they've got, and they're trying to. He's on this thing about trying to demasculate men, which they try to do. He says, what kind of man's going to vote for something like that? Telling you want to get out of it. That's what he'll say. He's right, but they keep going even deeper and deeper and deeper into the hole by doubling down on this socialism and this woke stuff, this DEI stuff. So there's going to be plenty of. Let them keep going because the more they go. Somebody said President Trump's number slipped a little bit in Epstein. Well. They slipped down, they slipped back up, but the Democrats are in the 30s. And people don't pay attention to that fact. They're just reviled and hated. And they, until they figure out, somebody said the definition of insanity is doing something stupid, but then continuing to do it again and again and again and again and again. And I think we're seeing a lot of political insanity on the left. You're going to have plenty of targets to lampoon for sure.
Well, speaking of stupid, I'm seeing a number of talk show hosts who are losing their jobs. I'm talking about on the liberal side. You never hear that from a conservative talk show host. They keep their jobs. I feel pretty secure.
Well, first of all, people don't. It's been proven that woke doesn't sell. Woke loses money. I mean, look what happened with Target, and even with even with Budweiser when they try to have this woke commercial. Budweiser and Target suffered tremendously, and of course now you can go into Target, you can't find any of their trans. They're trying to put this trans stuff out in the front of the store during Trans Month, and people are boycotting. You can't find it anymore. The same thing with Budweiser when they hired this idiot marketing director, some young lady who didn't know anything about drinking beer, who doesn't go out and drink beer with the boys, and they wanted to have this trans thing on Bud Light. Budweiser almost went out of business. Woke doesn't sell; it loses money, and so that's what happens with these so-called comedians like Colbert. Nobody wants to see him. Look what's happened to. Look what's happened to CNN. I mean, nobody there's not an appetite for it. Matter of fact, not only there's not an appetite, but it turns people off, and they just can't resist the opportunity to put their woke junk into their monologue and let their colors come out. There's no ability. I saw Jimmy Fallon. I call him Fallon, but all the name is Jimmy Fallia. But I still call him Jimmy Fallon on Fox. It's easier to say. He came out with his monologue the other night, and he played a little clip of Johnny Carson from like 1979. And Johnny Carson was saying, listen, you could use this platform. You could use this platform as a late night comedy platform as an opportunity to promote a political agenda. But he said it would be a mistake to do that. We want to be able to laugh at ourselves and laugh at our leaders and laugh at both sides without pushing anything. Mm-hmm. And these comedians like Colbert are not really comedians. They're simply political hacks masquerading these comedians. Mm-hmm. That's why they're going out. How in the world does this guy get paid $20 million when his show is losing $40 million? Go figure that. So I guess he'll be on the air for another year before he has to step out. But it's the trend of what we're seeing. Woke causes financial failure. It's interesting, the Democrats try to change the name of some of our military bases, the biggest one being Fort Bragg right here in North Carolina, Fayetteville, which is a North Carolina institution. It's a U.S. Army institution. And they just try to change it like that. Pete Hegseth changed it back the first day, and it's like a breath of fresh air, But they won't learn the lesson, Donna. They won't learn that woke is going to cost them money. And that's fine. Let them not learn. Let the market take care of it. The market will take care of it sooner or later because people just don't want to hear it.
I'll have to tell you something interesting. I love South Carolina. And so we live in Abbeville, South Carolina. A lot of rich history here. So Phil and I were at an event, and Brad and Larissa, my son and daughter-in-law, came. Mother was with us. And so it was a thing they were doing close to downtown Abbeville. And they were doing a reenactment of the Confederacy. And it just blew my mind. This guy gets up there. I'm talking about in a great way. So this guy gets up there and he says, and there was a monument. And he said, I'll tell you one thing, we don't change monuments around here. And he was pretty clear on it. And Brad, my son, looked at me and said, you are in the right place, Mom. You are in the right place. But they won't put up with it. It's just a bunch of nonsense.
It's interesting because, I grew up as a Washington Redskins fan and still called it. I never used that Commanders. In North Carolina, they were the team that was broadcast every Sunday afternoon. There was no Carolina Panthers. There was no nothing else. And, of course, maybe the Falcons were on TV in the western part of the state, but the rest of the state, from Raleigh on east, it was all the Redskins. So, I pulled for the Redskins through the 3 Joe Gibbs Super Bowls, the 3 different quarterbacks, good Christian man, great coach. And we had a couple of UNC players, Chris Hamburger on the Redskins, Kelvin Bryant. And so I was a Redskins fan. Then you have a handful of idiots forced to change the name change of the team to the Commanders. They changed the Cleveland Indians to the Guardians. Now I see President Trump says he's not going to let them, he's going to interfere with their rights to lease in the stadium. They don't change their name back. And by golly, what a breath of fresh air. I would start pulling for them again if they change their name back.
Yeah, I think I will too. Because and really the Indians had no problem with it. They had no problem with what they were.
I think it's Chief Blackfleet. I'm trying to remember the name of the chief from that tribe out in South Dakota. They are totally opposed to the name taking the Redskins name away. The irony is somebody said, the Democrats try to push DEI, but then when you have a chance to showcase a minority group like that, then they want to take the name away. So there's no consistency to what they want to do, except the consistency of they want control. And the problem is, you had a handful of loudmouths trying to force the NFL, and they did that in the wake of George Floyd. They used that George Floyd thing as an opportunity to do a lot of damage in the wake of that, like anybody really wanted that, and nobody wants it. I frankly hope Trump forces them to change it back, and I'll be singing "Hail to the Redskins" again if they do that, just as a matter of principle. But it's the same thing. Nobody wanted that, Donna. The whole Redskins. Look, the Redskins are one of the most storied franchises in the history of the NFL. Nixon drew up plays for the Redskins in the 1972 Super Bowl against the Dolphins. And they were the one thing in Washington D.C. that one of the very few things conservatives and liberals could agree on. Play for the Redskins, and they had fans all around the country, and especially in the Virginia and the Carolinas. But then when you take away something like that's part of my boyhood memories growing up. I had a Redskins jacket I would wear to school, a Redskins sports jacket when I was in the 5th and 6th and 7th grade, but you take away somebody's memory, somebody's culture for no reason. There was absolutely nothing right. Any of these teams I named, for Indians, like the Atlanta Braves, Florida State Seminoles, and the Seminoles, they don't want. They're saying, hey, don't you make Florida State remove that name, And the Indians, how is that derogatory? Or that they become the tribe, and ironically, the Indian groups, most of them that have been honored by having their names on as mascots for these sports teams, like it. It draws attention. It's a way of honoring their heritage. But see, it's not about logic with the Democrats and the DEI nuts. It's about control. So if they've got a name, they want to control you by forcing you to change the name. They want to force you to wear the mask, force you to take the jab, force you to change the name, force you to bend the knee to leftist wokeism. And that's really what it's all about.
Well, it's nonsense. If you are from Alabama, I'll just say that, possibly the Carolinas as well, you got a little bit of Indian blood in you. So there was apparently a time in history the whites and the Indians got along with each other. As a matter of fact, my great grandmother was half Indian.
Yeah,
so you can't tell it from looking at me, but anyway, I took from the Irish part of my great grandfather. But anyway, the rest of my family, they're all pretty dark skinned.
Well, everyone, yeah, right, and every one of these sports teams named either by for a tribe, like Florida State's the Seminoles. You got the Saluki, Southern Illinois, the Illini, University of Illinois. Marquette was the Warriors. They changed that for political correctness. The Warriors. They changed it to the Eagles from the Warriors. Crazy. The Atlanta Braves. They tried to force that name change. Mm-hmm. The Redskins. All of these nicknames were to honor the Indian tribes, to honor those cultures and honor those heritages. They're celebrated, not made fun of. Celebrated. I saw that the chief, who was 90-some years old, who had been the Redskins mascot, just passed away just within the last week, and always wanted the name changed back. And it was his, insignia that was put on the uniform. So anyway, it just goes to the larger picture. And you had mentioned earlier, why is it that, they keep pushing woke, like Jimmy Fallon, they push woke. In fact, despite the fact people don't want it, the people don't want woke rammed down our throats. We don't want little girls to have to share restrooms and locker rooms with men. We want people to be natural and just enjoy life rather than be so spun up and wound up and trying to force people to bend the knee and bow down to a very small but loud handful of zealots and ideologues.
Well, it's in their playbooks, divide everybody. That way you get to conquer. There you go. But I just wanted to say one more time, apparently the Indians got along with the white, or otherwise I wouldn't be here. Okay, guys.
You're right.
Indian blood in me. So it's just incredible. And the way they brought down women. Okay, now I've never been a burn the bra woman person at all. I think men should be the head of the family. I literally believe that. And I think you're pretty close, because I think where we're weak, the guy's strong, where the guys, and vice versa. So but the point is these folks have taken women back 100 years, especially with the sports thing going on and beauty contest where a man wins.
Well, look, the whole thing that the left is attempting to do with regard to men and women is twofold. Number one is to make women masculine, and two, make men effeminate. Exactly opposite of how God created man and woman. They've tried to push it the opposite direction. You know, there was apparently a podcast that Barack and Michelle did. I hadn't seen the entire podcast, but I've heard clips of it. Very, very bizarre. In which Barack Obama says, every man should have a gay man friend because then he can understand how to wear, how the problems trans has bringing up babies or something like that. Or rather than go watch the sporting event, go to the movie. The guys and girls should split the cost when they go out. I mean, it's just an attack. Just an attack against cultural norms, and it's embraced by the left. And Obama already hacked off a lot of young Black American males, especially when he said, you brothers need to support the sister. So I'm trying to tell them to vote for Kamala. I'm telling you, no young Black man that I know, at least most that I know, want anything to do with Kamala Harris at all.
They would not. No.
They like Trump, and especially Trump can identify. I mean, he can, and that mugshot. You've had a lot of young Black men arrested unfairly and get mugshots, and they can identify with Trump's mugshot. And so, but the left continues to push exactly what's opposite of natural. So you have Barack Obama pushing essentially femininity with men, and I've got to go back and look at that podcast. Maybe we could do a next interview on that podcast alone.
Let's do that. Okay, that's your homework assignment. Well, that's our homework assignment. We got to do that. We're going to have a podcast absolutely about that. I got to say it. I can't help myself. Everybody laughs when I say this. Barack Obama is already married to a man. I'm sorry. I told you the story about that. Okay, Phil and I were living in Charlotte, and Phil watches the news, and so I'm bringing laundry downstairs, and I'm looking to see what he's looking at, and I said, "Who's that man dressed up like a woman?" And it was Michelle Obama, and so Phil said, "Well, it's Phil." He even agreed. He said, "Well, its husband is actually running for president." Its husband is running. I'm sorry, everybody who's laughed at me for saying that. It's going to be, I'm going to be proven right about that.
You know what? They caught Obama on tape one time saying Michael or Michelle, and it changed it. So, hey, he's helping to spread the rumors himself. Called her Michael one time. So who knows? Okay.
I want to know why there are no pictures of the babies.
Right.
There are no baby pictures.
No, right. You're asking all the right questions.
Even Hillary Clinton, as Satanist as she is, you can at least see pictures of her holding a baby. Now, she probably gave it to the babysitter immediately after the photo op. But I'm just saying, you can at least see her holding Chelsea.
Well, you remember the tragic pictures from JFK's funeral with little John Kennedy holding his mom's hand like this tall. You don't see any pictures like that of the Obama kids at that age with any of them. Certainly not in the infancy stage. So why not? I mean, the guy was President of the United States. Where are the pictures? I mean, we ought to have access to those. You can see baby pictures of all presidents and their babies except for that one. So, where's the beef? Like the little old lady used to say in the Wendy's commercial.
Yeah, I just find that just a little bit odd that that's not done. So, do you think Barack Obama is about to go down? I mean, things we already knew. They're bringing that out, and I'm going to have to tell you, I love Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, she is.
Well, Donna, I think I mentioned earlier I'm supposed to be on Grant Stinsfield tonight on REV, and he wants to talk about this very thing. Our campaign released. We went out with a press release yesterday on this very topic, encouraging the Attorney General to pick up the ball and roll and prosecute. So the question is, will Obama go down? Here's what we know. We know that in September of 2015, there was an intelligence assessment that, again, this was a year before the election, that no foreign power, including the Russians, really had the ability to substantially interfere with the United States elections. Then after Trump defeats Hillary and she's sticking her thumb in her mouth and pouting all around, a series of events begins in December of 2016 at the White House. Now, just a few weeks before Trump is to come into office after he's defeated Hillary, December 8th, there's an assessment by the intelligence services that there was no outside interference, none. Then the next day, apparently, there's a meeting with Obama and Clapper and Comey and Brennan and Susan Rice, and I believe Andrew McCabe. I want to make sure I'm right on that, in which the administration essentially instructs the three-letter agencies to come out with a different narrative. And at that point, you had the beginning of the most substantially documented organized criminal activity of any United States president in history. And so the three-letter agencies fall into line. It is my understanding that a lot of employees of those agencies objected because it wasn't based upon objective evidence. But from there, on January the 6th, Jim Comey goes to New Jersey to brief the president-elect and gives him an, oh, by the way, we have evidence of this Russian interference, which was based on this fabricated Steele dossier, which came out of the Clinton campaign, which they knew that it was inaccurate. They knew it was fabricated, but elected to start all this anyway. And from the direct involvement of Barack Obama himself, it would appear this whole assault against the United States Constitution began. The Russiagate thing started. 2 impeachments came from it. And just as disturbingly, the Robert Mueller, Muellergate special prosecutor gets appointed. He winds up, even though the intelligence agencies know that this is all bunk, this Russiagate prosecution is started looking for evidence of Russian collusion. It investigates numerous Trump associates, including General Flynn, George Papadopoulos, Roger Stone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And cannot recall Paul Manafort also, who was chair of the Trump campaign initially. And they cannot find one link to one defendant having anything to do with Russia, not one. So what do? They start prosecuting these Trump associates based on what we call process crimes. For example, General Flynn had gone in and talked to the FBI. The FBI agents who talked to said we think he was truthful. But the DOJ, carrying out Obama's instructions, wanted to charge him with lying to the FBI, even though the FBI agents who he talked to said they believed it was truthful. To get him to plead, they threatened to prosecute his son. He pleads, which is very, very typical, loses his home, and of course is later pardoned and exonerated. He's later exonerated by Bill Barr and then pardoned by President Trump. Bill Barr knew it was a bunch of bunk when he became Attorney General also. You look at all these other folks who were prosecuted because of that directive by Obama to create the Russian hoax. So what you have is a direct assault between the Obama administration, coming up with this Russia hoax nonsense, and the Biden administration with its multiple kangaroo court prosecutions, not only of President Trump, but of other ordinary, average Americans like the 2 pro-life authors, Paul Vaughn and Mark Houck, or this cartoonist Douglas Mackey, who just did a cartoon about Hillary, prosecuted him 5 years later for a cartoon, or Mark and Patricia McCloskey, the former Democrat gun owners in St. Louis, who when a mob of thugs illegally broke into their neighborhood, just standing out in the yard with a gun. All these prosecutions were an attack on the United States Constitution. So, in our press release, we're calling for the Attorney General to take action. We can't get into a position anymore where we're talking about taking action or investigating. If prosecutions are not brought against high-level administration officials from the former administrations who are involved in this assault against the United States Constitution, we're going to lose it. Because they get back into power and have not felt the heat from their own actions, there will be nothing to deter them from moving into absolute dictatorial authority, which is what they will do. So it's got to happen. So you asked, do I think Obama will be prosecuted? I think there are grounds for it. If what we saw and God bless Tulsi Gabbard, it's interesting. Here we have one of the few moderate. She was one of the few moderate Democrats still around. Tries to run for president. Of course, gets blown away by the radicals. Had served her country in the Army as lieutenant colonel. And then that is the deep state, puts her on a no-fly or a watch list with TSA as having terror connections. So they turn their weapons against her. She becomes DNI, changes parties, and it's kind of like some sweet and delicious irony that she would declassify these emails that have shown the Obama administration's complicity in the Russia hoax, number one, and then refer those for criminal prosecution. And don't forget, Donna, just a few days before Tulsi Gabbard made this criminal referral, we had the director of the CIA, the new director under Trump, that is John Ratcliffe, also send criminal referrals to the DOJ for James Comey and John Brennan in connection with their role in the manufacture of this whole Russiagate thing, and using flimsy evidence to get faulty warrants like the raid at Mar-a-Lago, all that kind of stuff. So we have had the director of the CIA, now think about this, the director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, refer the former director of the CIA for criminal prosecution. That has never been done, as far as I know, in American history. And also refer the former director of the FBI, Jim Comey, for political prosecution. That's an appropriate referral. So you have two significant members of the intelligence community, the CIA director and now the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who has declassified these materials, refer these crooks in the previous, these socialists, communists in the previous administration for criminal prosecution. The prosecutions must take place. This cannot just be lip service. If this constitutional republic is to survive, the prosecutions must take place. No ifs, ands, or buts, and they need to go as high as they need to go, including Obama and, if necessary, Biden.
Well, it's incredible what happened during those Obama years. It's good was bad and bad was good, and they were, and I keep on at Michelle Obama. Okay, so she hit every fashion magazine as being the most beautiful, elegant, whatever in the world. But then we have President Trump's wife, who is a supermodel. I mean, can walk circles around Michelle Obama, has the total look. And I mean, how many fashion magazines have you seen her on the cover of? Well, this one is elegance and grace. I mean,
well, it goes back to the idea of the left controlling the media, print media, television media, you name it. They totally control the media. And so, yeah, Michelle Obama. I mean, you look at Melania Trump, probably the most beautiful first lady in history, certainly the most glamorous, maybe the most talented. I mean, speaks 5 languages. Has raised a wonderful son. Has been the epitome of class and dignity, even when her husband has been the target of political prosecutions. Unlike Michelle Obama, who said it's the first time I've ever been proud of that flag. In other words, she'd been ashamed of the American flag all of her life. It was Melania Trump who sought to become an American and do so in the right way, rather than cheat to get across the border. She's a legal immigrant. People say the president is anti-immigrant. We married an immigrant. And the first generation immigrants I found who do it the right way are often the very best citizens because they come for the right reasons. So it's just a product of the left continuing to control the national print media. And hopefully that's going to begin to change. We're already seeing, I was speaking the other night with my friend Brett Jensen, who is a very prominent figure with WBT Radio. And he was giving a talk right before I spoke to the Gaston County Republican Party about the rapid loss of influence that the left-wing media is having. CNN, CBS, nobody watches them. And that's going to be the way, it's going to get to the point, you look at Vogue magazine and these types of magazines, they're either going to be propped up by Soros money because they're not, if they're going to remain in, when I say Soros money, I mean generally by left-wing billionaires propping them up for propaganda purposes, because they're not going to be able to survive in a free market because people aren't going to buy them or support them.
Well, you choose someone who looks like they could be a quarterback on a football team over someone who is actually elegant and I'm sorry, that just says it all. I mean, Michelle Obama looks like she could be a quarterback.
How about a defensive lineman on the football team?
There you go.
Offensive lineman, anyway.
Let's go, whatever. She's on a football team. A good wrestler, too. I bet she could beat, or he. Okay, let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. I'm getting myself in trouble again.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
Yes, and we are back. Let's hurry up before I get kicked off of Facebook again. So my name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching. I have with me a good friend, Don Brown. He's an author, speaker, and an attorney, and he is he's also running for U.S. Senate, and I'm so proud to hear that. You know what? You are definitely getting the attention. So you're speaking all over the place. What is the most asked question you get from the folk? I'm talking about real people like me out there.
You know, it's interesting because before, I like to joke around, we ran Senator Tillis out of the race. He left the race at the end of June. There was universal outrage against the senator in every Republican enclave that we've been in. We've been in, 35 counties in the last 4 weeks or so, maybe more. They kind of run together, but it's good. But now people are, and have all, they're still angry against Tillis, even though he's pulled out of the race. But people are sitting back and they're worried about the Democrats. The federal judges being out of control is a big problem. Making sure that the border remains secure is a problem. There's a big concern about Democrat radicalism. There is a huge concern about making sure that DOGE cuts are fully implemented and continue to be implemented, and that's the Republican Congress has come in and is working on that. Although we're having some of our own Republicans that are children there. We have a big concern about loss of jobs in North Carolina. We had, as you know from having lived here, this was the furniture capital of the world and the textile capital of the world. And of course, South Carolina has been traditionally big on textiles too, particularly in the northern counties. Years ago, I represented Springs Industries as a lawyer right out of the JAG Corps, and came to the Charlotte and Fort Mill areas. Springs was one of the largest employers in South Carolina. But all these companies are gone with the wind, and that's because of Democrat trade policies. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of pro-Trump support for tariffs to try to bring these jobs back. And I think a loss of jobs, even though the economy is doing relatively well, you got to still have manufacturing on which to build a nation. Mm-hmm. And folks are very, very concerned about that. So, getting the tariffs into place to try to bring American industry back is a big deal. So these are the things that are on folks' minds. But I can tell you the hot button items that really set folks off are, one, the IRS. The people hate the IRS as much as they hate the Department of Education. Mm-hmm. And I'm running on 3 essential platform points. One is to take down the IRS. Okay, take it down altogether. Just kill it by legislative fiat, just like the Department of Education is going to have to be taken out by the Congress. The president can't do it on his own. but it's got to go. The second thing is to abolish the income tax system altogether. And, I make the argument, as President Trump has pointed out, that we made so much money on tariffs alone during the McKinley administration that we didn't know what to do with the money. And if we slim the government down enough, we can do that again. If tariffs alone won't work, then there's this fair tax proposal that you and I have talked about that Governor Huckabee has advocated. But I want to try it with tariffs alone first, because I want taxes as low as possible. And the third thing, of course, I mentioned before, people are just really furious with these out-of-control federal judges. Every time the president tries something, they go find a judge. Matter of fact, the Supreme Court just about 2 or 3 weeks ago came out with this landmark ruling, which appeared to be putting an end to these national injunctions. In other words, like in 2017, when President Trump imposes his travel ban against Sharia countries with Islamic law, only about 7 or 8 countries, Democrats go file a lawsuit in Washington State and another one in Hawaii. And this judge in Washington State, Robards, issues an injunction against the travel ban. So does the judge in Hawaii, Derek Watson, who was Obama's law school classmate. It took 1 year and 4 months before the Supreme Court reversed all that. So our people are really upset about these federal judges being out of control. So it's taxes, the IRS, and federal judges. And they're also really, really, really worked up about what happened during COVID. And the issue of medical freedom is one thing that is a real hot button topic out there. People remember how we were forced to try to wear a mask. And I always joke around because you will never see a picture of me in a mask, Don, unless it's doctored by AI. It's the only way you'll see it. Never happened. But people are mad about that. And even more mad about the doggone experimental vaccines. It's caused so much harm to so many people. So one of the things I'm running on, in addition to the 3 points I made, to take down the IRS, to repeal the income tax for not only for individuals but corporations. If you took away the corporate income taxes, like I asked my folks, think how fast the textile industry would come back into North Carolina. Or it would come in so fast, whatever those industries were. These companies want a non-regulatory environment, but they want maximum freedom. They can only get that freedom in the United States. They come rushing back. And of course, the third thing is this medical freedom. People don't want. We got to have a federal vax and mask Protection Act, so the Democrats can never force people to do this sort of thing again. Those 3 topics really light the audience on fire, and there's unanimous support for all these ideas that I've set forth. The biggest opposition is in Washington, with the rhinos, the Democrats, the bureaucrats, and the lobbyists. But we the people want these things. We want the income tax gone.
Well, it's extremely rare. I see anybody here where I live in South Carolina with a mask on, but no, when we are traveling, you can still see people wearing masks. And I can't believe it. I mean, why are there, and they all look like they've been, like somebody has cut their throat and all the blood is out of them. They're as pale as they can be, and they can't think. I mean, it takes them a minute to concentrate. They're losing their concentration.
Well, the Democrats want to be governed. They want regulations. They want to wear a mask. They wish the mask would come back. They want some sort of bird flu scare or something so they wear a mask again. And the authorities want to be able to control people by ordering you to wear a mask. It's something they want. We had talked about Stephen Colbert in another segment. Colbert, I'd forgotten about this, but he cut this segment on his show about the vax dance, and he was there dancing a bunch of vaccines, just pushing the vax. Colbert was pushing the vax on his show, and they want to push these things. I think that there needs to be an end to the automatic immunity that these vax manufacturers enjoy. They can make anything they want, hurt people as much as they want, and still you can't sue them. And here's the thing. We got great companies in North Carolina. Lowe's is here. Lowe's, which is Home Depot's big competitor. Pepsi-Cola was born here. I mean, you can kind of go down the list. There are a lot of great corporations, and not just the big ones, but the small companies too, and the restaurants. Parker's Barbecue in Wilson, one of my favorite barbecue places around, nice, hotels down in Manteo, the Elizabethan Inn. I can think of great establishments all over the state. None of these companies, none of them, not my law firm, not anybody, nobody gets absolute federal protection from negligence or wrongdoing other than the vaccine manufacturers. Why do these vaccine manufacturers deserve more protection than mom and pop stores and salt of the earth companies, because they don't. But there's this, what I call this governmental pharmaceutical, Eisenhower talked about a military industrial complex. There's also a governmental pharmaceutical complex that gives undue protection to these big manufacturing, these big vax manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
And they hurt people, they kill people, and they shouldn't be able to be so reckless. But our people are furious about it. And so these are the hot button issues that are out there. And I can go talk about any of these issues, and people get riled up about whether it's, if I go after the income tax, go after the IRS, if I go after the Democrats' unconstitutional mask and vax mandates saying we need protection. People are all bored on that, and that's what I'm going to push from the floor of the United States Senate.
Yeah, but there was so much waste during this whole thing. Okay, so Phil and I, we're a small business. Okay, right. He tried to kiss me one time, and I went social distancing, 6 feet away. But anyway, my point is the U.S. government sent us a bunch of masks. It's only 2 of us. I mean, if we are married, we're in the same household. Why would they? I mean, I think, they sent us 100, 200 masks or something like that. I don't remember. And they looked flimsy and cheap. I mean, it looked like something that was made in Taiwan or something. And I just held one up to the window like that, and you could see through it. How is that protection?
Well, man, look, listen, you go back. I gave a talk in Goldsboro, North Carolina, to the Faith and Liberty Conference, and I talked about the whole battle is a biblical worldview versus secular humanism. And secular humanism starts with a proposition. They claim there is no God, that man is the source of all reason, that we follow the science and follow the art. So the fools who are pushing the mask and the jab say, follow the science. You follow the science. The science on mask was then and is now that masks do not stop viral penetration. If you take one of those garbage masks that your federal government sent you, you take a can of Lysol and you spray it, you can see the spray go right through it.
It goes through it. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, it goes back. Remember, the left has a desire to control, regardless of whether the control has a logical means to it. There's no logical means to force you to wear a mask. There's nothing but waste to send you and fill 200 masks. What are you going to do with them? You're going to have 200 kids? What are you going to do? You're going to take them out, pass them on the street? But there's no logic. There's no scientific basis for us. They want to control. And the desire for control is the overriding lust that the left has. To control us in all our lives, to control us in everything we do. They say, my body, my choice, until they're ready to control your body and force you to put, a dangerous jab into it. So no logic, just control and power.
Total insanity. Okay, so if I were like a crazed moron and I wanted to kill like all the stupid people on earth, okay, if you're going around with a mask on right now, you're a target in my eyes. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just plain stupid. I can't think of anything else.
Most likely a Democrat.
Well, yeah. When we were kids, we would go on trips, and my parents, to keep us quiet in the back, they would say, count the doodle bugs. Those were the Volkswagen, going. They would say, count them. Now what do? We count the people with masks on.
Right.
Democrat. Democrat. And again, they look like they're about to pass out. They're so pale looking. And
I saw one out the other day walking out 100-degree weather out all by herself with a mask on. I mean, come on.
Right. Okay. Beautiful lake water in Alabama. It's when we were living in Alabama. And so Phil was passing by I'm talking a huge lake, huge. A man by himself in a pond, in a boat, or in the water, in the boat with a mask on.
Right. Democrat.
It's like, okay, are the fish going to give you COVID? I mean, what's going on with that? I don't know. I don't get it. It's just the stupidity of it. But if you want to be thought of as a moron, continue wearing the mask. I'm sorry. If I offended you, I'm sorry.
No,
right. No, I'm not either.
I guess I see some people cutting the grass and wearing. Maybe you don't want to breathe in some of the stuff. That makes a little more sense. But out in the middle of a pond in a boat or walking down a hot sidewalk with nobody at 100 degrees, we see a lot of it.
Or a car by yourself. You don't even. One lady, I thought, I've got to see, is there a dog? Because we're stopped at a red light. And I thought, I hope she doesn't think I'm a crazy lesbian masher or something, but I got to see, is there at least a dog or a cat in there that she's afraid of? And so I'm looking, and I didn't see anything. It was just her. And she was looking straight ahead. Look, again, had that look, I'm about to pass out.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. I mean, the stuff that we're going through. Okay, so we talked a little bit about Obama. Is he about to lose it? I think he's already lost it. Is there a divorce on? I mean, we keep hearing divorce.
Well, we've heard that too, and I think that's one of the things that she briefly, or he, whatever you want to say, briefly may have addressed in the podcast. If you look at the podcast, I think I read that Michelle Obama acknowledged there have been some troubles, and you hear all these rumors he's dating this one or that one. I mean, Obama dating, well, I won't even go there, but it doesn't seem like that there is, all that much bliss in paradise these days as far as those two go. Of course, she did not show up at the Jimmy Carter funeral. Here you have a former president of the United States passing away, and the former first lady doesn't show up, if you want to call her that. So usually where there's some smoke, there's fire. Yeah. We'll keep an eye on that. I wouldn't surprise me in the least bit from what little I know.
Well, she or he, whatever, Michelle Obama did not like, they were on a trip one time, and I'm telling Obama was having fun with that Swedish chick. I mean, they were just like all over each other, and you could see even the liberals put that out there. Were sitting there with arms crossed, mad, looking at him, and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, he's having fun there.
He wasn't up to the scene, as I recall, now that you mention it, so there you go. It was a Swedish something team. Maybe it was a national, I don't remember. It was one of the Swedish, seems like it was one of the Swedish Olympic athletes or something. I don't know, but I remember that now. I have to look it up now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed looking at that article. Okay, let's talk a little bit about jobs, because I saw something on Fox News, and they had, I think it was yesterday, and they were talking about AI is producing a lot of jobs. There is going to be an explosion of jobs and in the tech industry, and I'm trying to get that word out there. If I were a young person in high school right now, I would be going for 2 tech jobs. I mean, I just would, because again, no college debt behind you, and you're making an incredible amount of money, and I'm talking right out of the gate. Graduate from high school, you can have a very high paying job. And I'm just telling you that North Carolina is ripe and ready for it.
Right. Well, your advice is very, very sound advice. We gotta totally rethink the way we've done education for the last 100 years in this country. We've just got to rethink it all together, because the whole notion that you can go to Duke or UNC Chapel Hill and get a degree in, French literature, history, the history of French literature, or whatever it might be, or and then expect to go out and compete in the marketplace is ridiculous. I saw a meme the other day, and there was, one guy who graduated from Princeton with a degree in history of French literature with a $500,000 debt, living in the parents' house living in his home without being able to get a job or stay employed to make much money. Another guy was an electrician who went straight to technical school, became an electrician, making 6 figures, plenty of work to do, about to disconnect the electricity of the nerd who'd been through the Ivy League school. Now, how does this make sense? And it goes back to, we need to rethink the way we're doing education. Mm-hmm. But it's been the liberal mentality that's pushed this liberal arts education on us. And there's nothing wrong with understanding liberal arts and learning those things, but understand you're not going to make a living doing that. There's no market for it. There's a need for education, but you've got to have vocational means, and going into AI, going into tech or wherever. And we got to beef our military up also in terms of some of the basic training requirements for our service academies, because we're going to be competing in the world where cyber optics are important, where artificial intelligence is important, where computer programming is important. So and you can go straight into those types of professions and those types of training and skip all the other garbage that I'm talking about, which the garbage has been used as the whole liberal arts model has been pushed, I'm convinced in retrospect, as an opportunity to create sanctums for indoctrination. Mm-hmm. So that's, most folks come out of these big universities more liberal than before. That's because they've been indoctrinated by leftist professors who could not hold a job in the private economy, but are in the enclave of these big universities where, they've got grants and all kinds of, public monies and everything else to keep them employed. But we got to rethink what we're doing. And what you're saying, the advice you would be giving to any young person listening to Donna, what she says, and you'll never regret it, as far as I'm concerned.
Go for it. And then I got to ask you about this. The big talk right now is about the CEO that, kind of got caught on. And I'm seeing all kinds of memes about that. I even saw one. It looked like President Trump and Nancy Pelosi, like he was holding her and they were caught.
Yeah.
What the heck? I mean, he's in a public place. Did he not think? I mean, shouldn't be a little discreet? I mean.
Yeah. Well, I saw that. And, I've been to a few Panthers games. I'm not crazy about going to NFL games because, there are a number of reasons for it, but when somebody offers me a ticket, I'll go to socialize once in a while. They've got these big jumbotrons where they have these KISS cameras or whatever, or they have them in the NBA arenas. So, also, and when you go to one of these professional sporting events, and I know this was at a concert, but at professional sporting events, it's like a zoo. I don't like going to the NBA or the NFL, and in part because when the teams, when we're watching on TV and they go to a commercial break because it's time for commercial, there's no commercial. All you have is constant activity in these stadiums. And these KISS cams or whatever crowd cams are part of it. Well, when I saw that, the first thing that I thought was, is this staged? Is this even real? So the thought crossed my mind, because out of 60,000 people in a stand, they're the ones that get zeroed in on, what are the chances of it? Well, let's assume that it's not staged, assuming that it's not staged to draw attention for whatever reason. All they had to do was just play it cool. I mean, and the reason that got the attention it did was because of their reaction. Right. If you just stayed there, they'd have panned on to the next one and nobody said anything. Because of how they reacted, then the guy, the MC or the performance said, they got caught. And then boom, it goes viral. So somebody said it might have been poetic justice, I suppose. But, it's certainly been the talk. And there have been a lot of spinoffs, just like you say, Trump and Pelosi or this one or that one, and it's been kind of funny in some ways. I'm sure. I mean, the poor guy's wife didn't think it was too funny. Somebody said all over social media had gone down. So you got to feel for her. But apparently this guy was CEO, and the lady, from what I hear, was the human resources person. Human resources of all people.
I thought that was interesting. You're human resources person.
I'm not a fan of HR departments anyway. To me, they're large bureaucracies in these large companies. But hey, HR, I guess you're supposed to know better, but I guess you don't practice what you preach, right? Don't practice what you preach.
I guess so. And that was pretty expensive ticket there. I'm telling you, probably. Right. But it's one of two things. Either the wife had them followed, private investigator, whatever, or something done that way. But I have thought about another angle. Maybe it was the chick. Maybe he promised, I'm going to divorce her, I'm going to marry her, I'm going to, whatever. And she's the one that had it staged.
Well, it could be. It could be. But then, of course, the camera people in the stadium would have to be on it. So how would she have the influence of the camera folks in the stadium to make that happen? But hey, it could still, between production and production folks could have said, okay, up in section so-and-so, we're going to do this. And you look for them at the 30-minute break. And so it could have very well been staged. I mean, it seems almost too, I won't say good to be true, because that good is not the way to describe what happened, but it seems too much to be true if it weren't staged. So just call me suspicious. I'm a suspicious guy.
Yeah, I am too. I'm very suspicious. It just seemed a little odd to me.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to have to call it a day, Don. And I'm going to be looking around for KISS cams and see if you're on any of them.
Well, I wouldn't be on one, but if I were, I was certainly not going to duck down below the crowd. There you go. So,
you would be holding up a sign, vote for Don Brown.
That's exactly right. Don't let friends vote them. Our friends don't let friends vote Democrat. That's what I'd say.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Don, for being with us. Oh, how can folks donate?
Please go to Brown, BROWM, Brown4FORNC.com, Brown4NC.com. Click the donate page, and then please send us what you can do, because we got to raise the money to win this race. And it's going to take we the people, average people like to watch our shows and come to my office to pitch in, because we're running against big bucks. So I appreciate it very much, Don.
Absolutely. And thank you guys so much for watching. go on ahead and click that donate button, guys. Okay, you know you got to do it. Thank you so much again for watching. See you next time around.